Hi guys, it's Nancy. Just want to make a reminder to all of my Catherine Pooler ink lovers just like me. There are 3 new colors in the Spa collection. So the first thing you want to do that is completely free is to download the new color wheel. So the color wheel is actually 3 pages. You get the party collection. You get the Spa collection, and then the 3rd page actually prints out the center, which you can cut out and put a brad in, and then you can turn this. But you can see the 3 new colors on here, which are Cashmere. Where is it? I just had it. Okay, now I lost it. Oh, sorry, Cashmere is neutrals. That's not on here. So Cashmere is not on here. It's not on here. Succulent is right here. And then the Glacier is over here. So Cashmere is not on here because it's part of the neutrals, which are the browns. But you can see, and then if you wanted to print out party, you could. But you can see how it is a wide collection of inks. These are dye inks, and dye inks go into your paper. They dye your paper, unlike pigment inks, which sit on top of your paper. So they dry very, very quickly, so you're not going to have smearing after you stamp. And again, this is completely free for you guys to download. So you have your ink colors updated. So I will put that link down below for you guys. Why do I love the inks? So as I mentioned before, they're dye inks, so they go in and dye your paper. So here you can see the Cashmere. I kind of put it a little bit darker than buttercream is more of a yellow color, but here you can see it's lighter than Sandcastle. Here you can see Glacier, which is light or darker than Cove Blue, but lighter than Juniper Mist. And then Succulent is, for me, it is darker than Matcha, but lighter than Sage. All right, so you can see that there. And then why do we love the inks? So you have 2 different sizes. We have the lighter, or sorry, the smaller mini inks and the larger inks. You will also probably, depending on how you store them, may want to get the labels. The labels come in 4. So you may want to label your larger and your smallers. I store mine in a storage container, so I put mine on the side here. But you can put them anywhere you want there. And then also if you want to put them on your smaller ones. I've cut mine, but I haven't put them on my smaller ones yet. And then they come with the plastic on there, so you can cut that plastic off and then open them up. They are the spongy ink pad. So a lot of manufacturers have felt ink pads. I like the spongy ink pads because you get a lot of ink transfer. So because you get a lot of ink transfer, I do also recommend that you get the reinkers. The reinkers are labeled with the colors. So when you are reaching into wherever you store your reinkers, you can see exactly what color you're getting. It used to be they were only black and white labels. Well, now they are color labels. So you know exactly what color you're getting when you get your reinkers. And the mini ink pads themselves are also the spongy ink pads. Okay, so you do get that same spongy ink pad and the same quality ink. So you are not sacrificing anything when you get the smaller ink pads. I get the smaller ink pads because I do a lot of traveling with my job. And so for me, it's easy for me to leave the bigger ones at home and take the smaller ones when I'm traveling. And you're not sacrificing the ink pad quality or the ink itself. And they're not super tiny. With some of the other companies, the ink pad is a really small square ink pad. So you can see here in terms of size, it's the same width of ink pad, but it is a little bit longer ink pad. It's almost 1.5 sizes of the ink pad size. So you do get a longer length of ink pad as well when you go with the minis. So that's nice. And again, in terms of colors, you can see the white. So if you are somebody who is starting out and you're not sure what kind of inks you like, I do like dye inks because dye inks go into the paper. They dye the paper so they dry faster. And this is a good way to start out. If you're limited in space or you are limited on budget, you can start off with the smaller ink pads. You can still get the reinkers, and you can start your collection in a wide variety of ink colors. And the difference between the Party Collection and the Spa Collection is you can see the Spa Collection are more your muted colors. You know, think of, how can I say this? Your neutrals, your fall, they're a little bit darker tone. They have a gray undertone to them. Where your party colors are more brighter, your springs, it's a more brighter color. You can see that the undertone is not as a gray undertone. And then they have the neutrals, which are not here. The neutrals are going to be your browns, your gray, your black. Those are completely different. So I think last time we checked, she has close to or over 120 different ink colors. And there are also metallics, if you're interested in the metallics. Now, I will say the metallics, you do have to set. So the metallic colors, you want to use some kind of a clear embossing powder if you're going to use the metallics, or spray set them if you're going to use the metallics, because they do wipe off because of the high concentration of mica powders in the metallics. So the metallics are a different kind of beast because they do need to be set. Otherwise, your metallic is going to wipe off because of the mica powders that they put in the metallics. But in terms of everyday stamping, why do I love these inks? For a number of reasons. Again, I just mentioned the spongy ink pad and the variety of colors. That's all given. The sizes, you also get that. But the different techniques, so there's a number of different things you can do with reinkers. I'm not even going to get into that. You can watch many different videos people use the reinkers for. You can make spritzes with the reinkers. You can do watercoloring with the reinkers. You can do splatter techniques with the reinkers. So many different things you can do just with the reinkers. And that's a whole different mixed media realm you can get into with the reinkers. But just in regular stamping and what you can do with the inks themselves. So you have your traditional stamping. By the way, if you missed my video on the release, these are the 2 cards that I made. Very simple, very easy to do. But one of the techniques I showed was just using the background. And then I did reverse stamping with the background where I stamped and I lifted the background just using water. So that's very easy to do. These are water reactive inks. So you can do that. And the new stamps that I got as part of the Lasso Life collection are the These Boots stamp set and dies and the Yeehaw die. So you can go check that out. In my previous video, I will link that for you. But just in terms of how great these inks are, I will show you. And these do also come wrapped in plastic, oops, when they get shipped to you. And that is not what you want to happen when you were filming. All right. But because it is a spongy ink pad, and you can see that sponge kind of stands up, you can just hold on to the edge there. You don't need to press down. It's a very light kiss of the ink pad, and that ink transfers over very easily. And you'll stamp that down. I'm just using some stamp cleaner, and I'll clean my stamp off here. And they do come to you very, very juicy, as you can see there. And you can see the lids are on there nice and tight. You almost kind of have to put your little nail just in there just to give it a little suction so that the lid pops off. So you don't really have to worry about these drying out either. That sponge holds on. So I'm just very lightly kissing. And I think that's a #1 mistake people find out when they first get these, is they tend to want to jam their stamp into the ink pad and they get too much ink on there. The other thing is, because they're dye inks, these will soak in and they'll even themselves out. So you just give them a second and the dye ink will even itself out in terms of color. Very easy. You'll see that you might have some stainings, particularly with like red color dye ink. It might stain, but it's very easy to clean your stamps, okay? And again, because these are a dye ink, they go into the paper. It's dried instantly. You don't have to worry about any kind of smearing of your images. Pigment inks sit on top of your ink. Think of pigment paint. It sits on top of your paper, where dye inks dye and saturate your paper, so they dry instantly. The other thing you can do is you can do ink blending very easily with these inks. So I'm grabbing a Catherine Pooler blending brush. I grabbed a little bit of too much ink there. And the secret here is to have a dirty brush, by the way. The dirtier your brush, the better. And you want to start off your paper and grab your ink and move into your paper. But they do transfer into blending very smoothly. As I mentioned before, they are water reactive as well. Now, I did have blue on this brush before, so this is now blending from a green to a teal, greenish blue color. So if I go back to that blue. Paper also matters. So this is the Catherine Pooler paper. So it stamps nicely, it blends nicely, and you can see I'm just blending that, continue to blend it, and it's smoothing itself out. The other thing that I like to do is you can go direct from your glass mat or your non-stick coloring mat, and you can color in your images. So you can grab either a watercolor brush or a blender brush, and you can grab that ink and you can directly color into your images. So if you had stamped an image and you wanted to color in your image, you could easily do that with a blender brush or a watercolor brush. So many techniques you can do there as well. I'm not very good at coloring, but these inks are great for that. As I said before, a lot of people like to do the splatter technique. So I can actually add water, just plain water, to this and make that into a watercolor. And I can pick this up and do, splattering with this. Well, you would want a real watercolor brush. This is not long enough to do that. Where do I have a real brush here? So you can do that. If you wanted to add even more water in a couple of different colors, you could do, as I said before, mixed media techniques, and you can do this with your reinkers as well. Okay, just pick that up and make some really cool backgrounds. So there's a lot of different things you can do with the inks. As I mentioned in my first video where I did the reverse, where I picked up the actual inks with water stamping, I had done a direct to paper background where I took the ink and I went direct to paper with the ink. and I did reverse stamping. And a lot of people like to do this with just water. You can actually do water, but you can see how the water just lifts that ink. So those of you guys who like to do the water technique with the water splattering, I don't think I have enough water on here again, where you can lift the ink. There you go. You can see that lifting as well. So this ink is water reactive, so you can do that technique. So a lot of cool features with this ink. You don't have to have multiple companies of ink. Again, especially for those of you guys who are just starting out, or maybe you have inks that you're just frustrated with, or companies that went out of business, and you're looking for an all-in-one ink. This is why I suggest looking into Catherine Pooler. So not only do you get a company, and Catherine Pooler, you know, she's a crafter. This is how she started out, as a crafter. And I don't know of too many companies that provide this type of spongy quality ink pad. And to have them in 2 different sizes with the same quality, having it in a reinker, having the colored labels, having the many different colors that you choose, the ones that you like, having the free color wheel that you can download. And again, this doesn't even have the neutrals and the blacks. She does have on her website the swatch guide as well, so you can download the swatch guide so you know what you have and what you don't have. So if you're not a color wheel person and you want the swatch guide, you can download the swatch guide. You also have the labels that you can download as well. She also has a swatch stamp set. These new colors won't be on there yet, but she has a swatch stamp set. So if you like making your own swatches, you can get that as well. But go check out these new colors. They are available in the Catherine Pooler shop. I will put the link down below. If you can also click yes to cookies, that lets Catherine know that I sent you guys over. Let me know what ink techniques you like using when you are stamping. Do you just do stamping? Do you do ink blending? Do you do coloring with your inks? I am curious as to what you do with your inks other than stamping, or maybe you just do stamping. Comment down below. Thanks for watching, guys, and I will catch you on my next video. Bye-bye.